Beneath the shadow of one of the world's most fortified borders lies a story of unity, fractured by history. Korea, a land of shared heritage and deep cultural roots, stands divided into two nations as starkly different as day and night. How did a peninsula with centuries of unified identity split into opposing worlds, one shrouded in isolation and secrecy, the other flourishing in innovation and openness? The answer is woven through centuries of triumph and tragedy, invasions and resistance, alliances and betrayals, wars and armistices. This tale of division is not just about lines drawn on a map. It is a story of clashing ideologies, powerful leaders, and the indomitable will of a people striving to reclaim what was lost. To understand this division is to uncover the forces that shaped two Koreas and the enduring hope for a future where they might one day stand as one again. Korea's journey as a unified nation began in 668 AD, when the Silla kingdom achieved the monumental task of unifying the three kingdoms, Goryeo, Baekje, and Silla, with the strategic assistance of Tang China. Each of these kingdoms had developed distinct cultures and systems of governance, competing fiercely for dominance over the peninsula. Goryeo, the largest, was known for its military prowess and territorial expansion. Baekje excelled in arts and trade, fostering close ties with Japan. Silla, initially the smallest and least powerful, gradually gained strength through diplomacy and its alliance with Tang China, which proved decisive in defeating its rivals. This unification marked the birth of a cohesive Korean identity, ushering in a period of stability and cultural development. Under Silla's centralized rule, Buddhism flourished, temples and monasteries were constructed, and advances in art and science began shaping Korean society. This was not only a political achievement, but also the foundation of a shared cultural and spiritual heritage that would endure for centuries. In 918 AD, the Goryeo Dynasty succeeded Silla, establishing a new era of cultural and intellectual brilliance. Named after the ancient kingdom of Goryeo, Goryeo sought to connect itself with Korea's proud past, and the name Korea derives from this period. Buddhism remained the spiritual cornerstone of Korean society during Goryeo, driving remarkable achievements in art and literature. The dynasty's crowning achievement was the creation of the Tripitaka Koreana, an exhaustive collection of Buddhist scriptures carved into more than 80,000 wooden blocks. This monumental project showcased the spiritual devotion and unparalleled craftsmanship of the era. Goryeo also distinguished itself as a hub of innovation. It pioneered movable metal type printing nearly 2 centuries before Gutenberg's press revolutionized Europe, demonstrating Korea's ingenuity. In the realm of art, the dynasty's Celadon pottery, with its delicate green glaze, became highly sought after, symbolizing the sophistication of Korean artisanship. Despite these cultural and technological advances, Goryeo faced persistent challenges, including invasions by the Khitan and Mongols. These external pressures would strain the kingdom and eventually contribute to its decline. However, Goryeo's cultural legacy endured, setting the stage for the Joseon Dynasty to reshape Korea's identity while preserving its artistic and intellectual heritage. The Joseon Dynasty, established in 1392, marked a transformative era in Korea's history. Guided by Confucian ideals, the dynasty emphasized education, governance, and social harmony, restructuring society into a rigid but meritocratic hierarchy. Civil service examinations ensured that officials were chosen based on knowledge and ability rather than privilege, creating a system that prioritized ethical governance. Land reforms and administrative overhauls aimed to strengthen the monarchy's authority and improve societal stability. One of Joseon's most enduring legacies was the creation of Hangul, the Korean alphabet. Introduced in 1443 by King Sejong the Great, Hangul revolutionized literacy in Korea. Its simple and scientific design allowed people from all social classes to learn and preserve the Korean language. This linguistic breakthrough remains one of the dynasty's most celebrated achievements, a symbol of Korea's cultural ingenuity. However, the dynasty was not without challenges. The late 16th century brought devastating invasions by Japan during the Imjin War, 1592 to 1598. Japanese forces, led by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, ravaged much of the peninsula. Yet, Korea's resilience shone through, exemplified by Admiral Yi Sun-sin's legendary naval victories using innovative turtle ships, which helped repel the invaders. The early 17th century saw additional threats from the Manchu, who launched 2 invasions that further strained Joseon's resources. These repeated incursions shaped Korea's approach to foreign relations. In response to the persistent threats from neighboring powers, the Joseon court adopted a policy of strict isolation, limiting foreign contact to maintain autonomy and cultural integrity. This deliberate withdrawal earned Korea the moniker Hermit Kingdom. While this policy preserved its sovereignty and distinct identity for centuries, it also left the nation unprepared for the sweeping changes that would define the 19th and early 20th centuries. By the late 19th century, Korea's long-held policy of isolation left it vulnerable to the ambitions of imperial powers. As neighboring Japan rapidly modernized through the Meiji Restoration, it began to assert its dominance in East Asia. Victories in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, and the Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 1905, solidified Japan's influence over Korea, positioning the peninsula as a strategic foothold for its expansionist goals. Unable to resist growing external pressures, Korea was coerced into signing unequal treaties that stripped it of autonomy. In 1910, Japan formally annexed Korea, bringing an end to centuries of sovereignty and marking the beginning of 35 years of colonial rule. Under Japanese administration, Korea underwent systematic efforts to erase its cultural identity. The Korean language was banned in schools, replaced by mandatory Japanese instruction, and Koreans were forced to adopt Japanese names. Traditional customs and symbols of national pride, including historical landmarks, were destroyed or repurposed to diminish Korea's historical significance. These actions aimed to assimilate Koreans into the Japanese Empire, erasing their distinct heritage in favor of imperial conformity. Economically, Korea was exploited to serve Japan's industrial and military ambitions. Farmlands were confiscated and redistributed to Japanese settlers, leaving countless Korean farmers impoverished. Korea's vast natural resources, including coal, timber, and iron, were extracted on a massive scale to fuel Japan's modernization. While industrial infrastructure was developed within Korea, it primarily served Japanese interests, relegating Koreans to low-wage labor and reinforcing economic inequality. The suffering intensified during World War II when Japan mobilized Korea's population to support its war effort. Thousands of Koreans were conscripted into forced labor, enduring brutal conditions in mines, factories, and military construction projects. Korean women were coerced into becoming comfort women, enduring exploitation as part of Japan's wartime operations. This dark chapter of colonial rule remains a source of unresolved tension between Korea and Japan. When Japan surrendered in 1945, marking the end of World War II, Korea's long-awaited liberation finally became a reality. Decades of colonial rule had left the nation scarred, but the spirit of independence endured, and Koreans hoped to rebuild their country as a unified and sovereign nation. However, the sudden collapse of Japanese control left a power vacuum that neither the Korean people nor the Allied powers were fully prepared to address. In a hurried decision, Korea was divided along the 38th parallel, with the Soviet Union occupying the north and the United States overseeing the south. This division, intended as a temporary administrative measure, would soon harden into a permanent split as Cold War tensions escalated. The division deepened existing uncertainties and dashed hopes for a seamless transition to independence. In the north, the Soviets installed Kim Il-sung, a charismatic communist leader and former guerrilla fighter, as the head of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK. In the south, Syngman Rhee, a staunch anti-communist with strong ties to the United States, emerged as the leader of the Republic of Korea, ROK. Both leaders were fiercely committed to reunifying Korea, but their visions were irreconcilable, each seeking to impose their ideology over the entire peninsula. As the two Koreas developed under opposing influences, tensions mounted. By 1948, the division was cemented with the formal establishment of two separate states, each claiming to represent the true government of Korea. The 38th parallel, initially a line drawn on a map, became a potent symbol of ideological conflict, separating families, communities, and a shared history. This division not only created political rifts, but also sowed the seeds for a devastating conflict. The peninsula, once united by culture and heritage, now faced an uncertain future as the ideological fault lines of the Cold War reshaped its destiny. The struggle for independence had ended, but a new battle for the soul of Korea was about to begin. On June 25, 1950, North Korean forces launched a surprise invasion of South Korea, igniting the Korean War. Backed by Soviet arms and Chinese support, North Korea's troops quickly overwhelmed South Korean defenses, capturing Seoul within days. The invasion was part of Kim Il-sung's goal to reunify the peninsula under communist rule. The swift advance shocked the international community and prompted a response from the United Nations, led by the United States, to defend South Korea. The conflict quickly escalated into one of the first major confrontations of the Cold War. Dramatic turning points defined the war, such as General Douglas MacArthur's daring amphibious landing at Incheon in September 1950. This operation reversed North Korea's gains, allowing UN forces to recapture Seoul and push deep into North Korean territory. However, the momentum shifted again when China entered the war later that year, sending massive waves of troops to push UN forces back across the 38th parallel. The war devolved into a brutal stalemate, with both sides suffering immense casualties. Cities like Seoul and Pyongyang were reduced to rubble, and millions of civilians were displaced. By the time an armistice was signed on July 27, 1953, an estimated 2.5 million people had lost their lives. The war left the peninsula devastated, with scars that would shape the identities and trajectories of North and South Korea for decades to come. The Korean War's armistice brought an end to active combat, but failed to establish peace. The agreement created the Korean Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, a buffer zone stretching 250 kilometers along the 38th parallel. Designed to prevent further conflict, the DMZ instead became one of the most heavily militarized borders in the world, embodying the enduring tension between North and South Korea. The DMZ's landscape is defined by barbed wire fences, landmines, and watchtowers. Armed soldiers stand guard on both sides, with their militaries poised just beyond the buffer zone. This uneasy standoff reflects the unresolved nature of the Korean War, as no formal peace treaty was ever signed. Despite its ominous atmosphere, the DMZ holds a surprising secret. It has become an accidental haven for wildlife. Rare species, including the red-crowned crane, Asiatic black bear, and Amur leopard, thrive in this untouched no-man's land, leading conservationists to propose its preservation as a peace park if reunification ever occurs. At the heart of the DMZ lies the Joint Security Area, JSA, at Panmunjom, the only location where North and South Korean soldiers face each other directly. This tense yet symbolic space has witnessed key moments in inter-Korean relations, from high-stakes diplomacy to daring defections. It serves as a stark reminder of the division while offering glimpses of hope for reconciliation. In the decades following the Korean War, North and South Korea embarked on starkly divergent trajectories shaped by their respective leaders and ideologies. In the North, Kim Il-sung established a totalitarian regime rooted in the ideology of Juche, or self-reliance. This philosophy emphasized national independence, military strength, and centralized control. The regime developed a cult of personality around Kim Il-sung, portraying him as the great leader and fostering unwavering loyalty through relentless propaganda. His successors, Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un, inherited this system, ensuring the continuity of absolute state control. Initially, North Korea experienced industrial growth, supported by aid from the Soviet Union and China. However, this progress stagnated by the 1990s due to the collapse of the Soviet Union, sanctions, and natural disasters. The resulting famine, known as the Arduous March, claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and plunged the nation into economic despair. Despite these hardships, North Korea doubled down on its military-first policies, developing a nuclear weapons program that continues to shape its relations with the outside world. In stark contrast, South Korea embraced modernization and economic development. Under leaders like Park Chung-hee, the country pursued rapid industrialization, transforming into a thriving economy known as the Miracle on the Han River. Export-driven industries such as electronics, automobiles, and shipbuilding flourished, with companies like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG becoming internationally renowned. By the late 1980s, South Korea transitioned to a vibrant democracy, cementing its place as a beacon of progress and innovation. The division of Korea has exacted a deep emotional toll on its people, particularly the millions of families torn apart by the Korean War. For decades, communication across the DMZ was impossible, leaving loved ones separated without any means of contact. The silence between families became one of the most painful legacies of the war, a stark reminder of the human cost of division. Occasional family reunions, painstakingly negotiated by the two governments, have offered brief moments of connection. These reunions are profoundly emotional, often held at neutral locations near the DMZ. Elderly participants arrive carrying photographs and mementos, hoping to bridge decades of separation in a matter of hours. Tears, embraces, and hurried exchanges of stories mark these meetings, which often end with heartbreaking farewells. For many, these reunions are their only opportunity to see their loved ones before passing away. Generational perspectives on reunification also differ. For older Koreans, reunification is a deeply personal aspiration, a chance to heal the wounds of separation and restore familial bonds. Younger South Koreans, however, often view reunification through a pragmatic lens, wary of the economic and cultural challenges it would entail. North Korea's impoverished economy and strict authoritarianism stand in stark contrast to South Korea's prosperity and democracy, raising questions about integration. Efforts to bridge the divide between North and South Korea have been marked by both breakthroughs and setbacks. In the late 1990s, South Korea introduced the Sunshine Policy, a bold diplomatic initiative aimed at fostering goodwill and reducing tensions. This approach prioritized engagement through dialogue, economic cooperation, and cultural exchanges, emphasizing peaceful coexistence over confrontation. One of the policy's most significant achievements was the establishment of the Kaesong Industrial Complex, a joint economic project where South Korean businesses employed North Korean workers. Located near the DMZ, the complex symbolized a rare instance of collaboration between the two Koreas, providing mutual economic benefits. The Sunshine Policy also paved the way for historic summits, including the 2000 meeting between South Korean President Kim Dae-jung and North Korean leader Kim Jong-il. This landmark event, which earned Kim Dae-jung the Nobel Peace Prize, raised hopes for reconciliation and a peaceful future. More recently, in 2018, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in held a series of unprecedented meetings, including a symbolic moment at the DMZ, where both leaders briefly crossed into each other's territory. These gestures captured international attention and renewed optimism for peace. However, progress has often been undermined by North Korea's nuclear weapons program and lingering distrust. The challenges of fostering lasting peace continue to test the limits of diplomacy. The division of Korea is not just a geopolitical reality. It is a deeply human story of resilience, loss, and enduring hope. It reflects the profound costs of ideological conflict, but also underscores the shared heritage and identity that continue to bind the Korean people. Despite decades of separation, the dream of reunification remains alive, fueled by a longing for connection and a desire to heal the wounds of history. For many, reunification represents an opportunity to restore family ties and bridge the chasm that has divided the peninsula for over 70 years. It is also seen as a path to addressing the vast economic and social disparities between the two Koreas, creating a stronger, unified nation. However, this vision is tempered by the practical challenges of integration and the geopolitical complexities surrounding North Korea's nuclear ambitions. As the Korean peninsula continues its journey, the dream of unity endures as a powerful symbol of hope. It is a testament to the resilience of the Korean people, who have weathered war, division, and hardship with unwavering determination. While the road to reunification may be long and uncertain, the spirit of unity that has persisted throughout Korea's history offers a beacon of possibility for the future. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, please share your thoughts in the comments, give it a like by hitting the thumbs up icon, and subscribe with the bell icon for more fascinating insights and untold history.